Hello everyone, I'm Bart Smikla and welcome at our biweekly community call. And I'm gonna start with reminder about our code of conduct, which we can summarize as be excellent to each other. Question, is there anyone new who would like to introduce himself, herself? I don't think so at this point. So please add your name to the attendees in our agenda docs. And let's start maybe with billing review. I think, one more question. Is there anyone who could do notes for me today? James, maybe? Or Justin?
Yeah, I've got a few, I can give it a go. I've got a few things that I need to do as well in the background, but yeah, give it a go.
So Linus, I can see you here. Is Tim with you?
Hey, no, not right now. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, I can see Tim join. Okay, so let's jump in.
Sorry, I totally forgot about you, Bart. I can only stay for a few minutes. I've got to go to a doctor's appointment with my kids. So if possible, can I front load my updates and then I can drop off?
Yep, definitely. Let's jump into it.
Okay. I spent time yesterday turning up k8s.io in AAA. It is up. It's running. I did not flip the DNS, so I sent a pull request last night, which needs to be reviewed. Specifically, the certificate I asked Munners to look at, and the group names were wrong, so I have to. That's all in the same PR. And then the last part is that it flips DNS. I chose not to flip it at 11:30 last night. I thought maybe that was a bad idea. And I'm disappearing now, so I haven't flipped it yet this morning. But practically, we could flip it in 6 hours or something, and it should just work. All the tests pass against it in the new cluster. So,
okay, sounds good. Any questions for Tim?
I'll take a look over the certificate changes this afternoon.
Okay, there weren't there's not actually any changes from the old config. Just take a look at it and make sure that it still represents sort of the best practices for this particular version of Cert Manager. And if we need to upgrade Cert Manager, we can do that in a separate track.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. I think that the last week we didn't do the billing review, so we should do it now. Can I ask you, Justin, to say a few words about our billing?
Absolutely, yes. I will try to bring up the spreadsheet, I guess, to share it. Sorry, the doc and share the view, but it looks like over the last month we spent $1,200.
Give me dates and we'll merge.
The report says, I'm just pulling it up. The latest report that was sent to the group was sent on February 17th and is for January 20th to February 16th,
January
2020.
20 to Feb 16. Reloading here.
I can also share if that's helpful. Let me.
And I see 1,179.
1,187. So I think we can call that. I hope we can call that close enough.
Yep. The vast majority of it is build time high CPU 32. We can dig into that, but there's 10,000 minutes of build time. I'm guessing that's release team doing stuff. And then the next is the clusters. And then after that is DNS, which is down to a mere 366 million queries this month, as opposed to the 1.5 billion last month.
Yeah, so we can say that it was fixed.
Okay. I believe I'm finally sharing, but yes, I see the same thing. There's that purple I think that's purple. The big purple chunk is cloud build. So I guess we need to, we don't currently have a drill down for cloud build. I don't know if we actually care, but.
We might want to. I can look at it in this view and I see Kate's staging release test. That's the one that Stephen Augustus plays in while they're figuring out the release stuff.
So the interesting breakdown would be by project.
Yeah, yes, that's the lion's share of the money.
Okay, I can do, like, we have this breakdown for GCE. I can do a similar one, I guess, for this, but focusing primarily on project rather than on SKU, which is, I believe, what this is.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay. Anyway, I don't think anything seems particularly out of line. Maybe we should poke them just to see if they are spending it the way that they expect to be spending it. It's always useful to put a dollar amount on your testing, but I don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see with the screen I have up now, Tim, but we do have a month to date by service and project, and it does show indeed Kate staging release T test is cloud build $400, and that is the big one. And we can see, like, the next one is, the next cloud build is cluster API, and then some project called COPS, and then staging artifacts P something. So, but yeah, the lion's share is cloud build. So we have this one already. But
yep. Cool. All right, I have to drop off now. I'll see you guys later.
See you later.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into the action items. Linus, can you give us a few words about container image promoter?
Yes. So last time I think I touched on addressing essentially the separation of. Sorry, actually, I don't know how much I can go into this, but there are some security related things that I have to figure out or iron out from the Google side. So I'm in the middle of doing that. The long and short of it is that I think end of this quarter is the so-called T date, or the date when we say that Google containers will enter a freeze. There is a document addressing this overall outline. I think I can share it after I give my update. It's called the Vanity Domain Flip. This was merged to K8s-IO's, as a README a few days ago. So that will outline the process. The hope is that will happen end of this quarter. So that's the date. So we need to send out, I suppose, maybe a more official announcement on probably the other mailing lists out there detailing this. So it actually doesn't affect the open source side that much because people are already using the promoter to promote to the new K8s artifacts prod. The only difference is that after Q1, so March 31st, people will be able to actually use K8s-GCR-IO, the vanity domain, and that would redirect to K8s artifacts prod instead of Google containers. So that's my update. I don't really have anything else. Are there any questions on this? I know, Claudio, that you were asking on the Slack channel about why there are so many different registries and how come they don't redirect to the correct region. That's because this domain flip hasn't happened yet. So after March 31st, you should be able to just push to K8s-GCR-IO.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions to Linus? Perfect. Thank you very much again. Next one is the rewriting into Terraform, and unfortunately I don't have any update there yet. I will be poking this topic more the next week. And I think this is the last one from the action items, and we can jump into the open discussion.
Oh, actually, sorry. One more thing, because you mentioned Terraform. So I actually also merged or submitted a PR for deploying the Cloud Run service on GCP. This is the auditing service that will check, any changes to GCR. Are they okay? Are they not okay? That's currently written in Bash with some, G-Cloud sprinkled in there. So that's like a great candidate to Terraform eyes. It's already been merged. People can look at it. It's a small unit of work that I think is ripe for terraforming. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Sounds good. And can I ask you to create an issue for that?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, so there is a topic which I have added on behalf of one of the users about the migration of publishing bot. But what I see is in the comments that there are already some action items which should be cover of this topic, because there was some discussion about moving, actually copy pasting some part of code to deploy the publishing bots, which some people didn't like, and the action item right now is to push some changes to the bot itself. And I think that it's at this point it covers this discussion. But if not, please give me some info about it, and we will discuss it later too. The next topic is the AWS test accounts. Can you give us more info, Justin, please?
Yes, sure. I just added this sort of last minute. We wanted to rotate the AWS. There are a bunch of AWS test accounts that are used for example, cluster API provider AWS Kappa testing. And we wanted to rotate those. It had been a while. So we created new ones. Those are not currently managed by this group. I guess I did manage to figure out how to script it, which was a big improvement over how I did it the first time. But I guess the question is whether we want like those scripts to live in, well, first of all, continue to just manage outside of this world, like in shadow IT, whether we put those bash scripts into the k8s.io repo or whether we try to move that to Terraform and manage it there. I don't know how people feel about that, but I wanted to float it before I sent a PR type thing. I
personally think this is the good place to put them on the k8s-infra, our repository. And also I think that I'm in the position where it would be good to start already writing it in Terraform, but if it's easier and faster, we can start with Bash and then rewrite it to Terraform. But that's my only opinion.
I have some Bash scripts, so why don't I PR in the Bash scripts and then we can try next time to move into Terraform or something.
Yeah, sounds good to me. What other people think about it?
I agree to that we should PR the current scripts in and then investigate moving towards Terraform in the future, given time.
Yeah, same here. Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, great. Anyone who thinks opposite? Okay, for the first time, the second, and the third, I think that it sounds like a plan. And that was the last topic at our agenda. Is there any discussion which you want to start now? Because we have like a 43 minutes.
Quite a long time. I haven't got like a major discussion point, but mostly given we've got 45 minutes, I thought I'd quickly say. Tim mentioned about upgrading Cert Manager at some point. I need to go and test out my credentials and things. It's a little bit more involved, this particular upgrade that we're doing, because we're basically we're still using the old CRDs that use the k8s.io suffix. It's a pain because we have to basically delete our CRD resources and update them and reapply them. There is no way around it. So yeah, I think there's not too much to add. I need to go test out my credentials. They give me access to the Cert Manager namespace. I think I'll need to modify things like cluster roles and cluster role bindings, because obviously it's a cluster level service. And then also double check all of the different resources across the cluster to make sure everything that we previously had, we now have in the new format and in the repo and everything. So I can go through, put together all the PRs for that and get it all prepared ahead of time. But in terms of actually rolling it out, it might, I mean, I can just hand it off to someone, but I'm also quite happy, and maybe it's safer if I do that maybe on like a pairing session with someone, so we can actually make sure there's multiple people looking at it. I just don't know about credentials wise. I might need certain permissions beyond what I have now is all.
So my suggestion is I'm very open to do some per session if you want. I think that I have credentials, and if you will need something, we can sit together and work on it and just check what you need, and we can discuss with other if it will be just easy to just grant you these permissions, or we should do it some other way. But I'm very open to do per session.
Cool, that sounds good. It shouldn't be too bad, and it's probably best to do it with someone just so that we don't have people working on AAA unattended, regardless of who that is.
I think that we are working in the same time zone, so just give me a word and we can do it.
Sounds good.
Any other topics? Some discussion, questions, ideas? Okay, I think that it will be a quick session today. Okay, so the Lordy wrote that he is also keen to join us. Definitely, it's open. If anyone wants to join us, feel free to do so. I will write when we will discuss this. When it will happen, I will write about it.
Yeah, that sounds good. I may have some time next week, but I'm stacked up this week as it stands.
Also, I have a lot on my plate. Next week sounds good. Okay, so I'm asking for the first time if there is another topic, for the second, and for the third. Okay, thank you very much for joining. Thank you guys for doing notes, and see you soon in 2 weeks.
Thanks very much.
Thanks all.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you. Bye.
Bye.